Now imagine letting go completely, not physically but mentally. Let go of the idea that down is a fixed direction. Let go of the feeling that you are anchored to the earth by some invisible pull. Instead, picture yourself as a traveler, not across land but through the fabric of reality itself. You are moving, always, even when you think you're still, because in this deeper view of the universe, stillness doesn't truly exist. There is only motion, guided, shaped, and sometimes resisted, and what you perceive as standing still is simply a balance of forces, an equilibrium between your natural motion and the constraints around you. But what if those constraints disappeared? What if suddenly the ground beneath you vanished? Not in a dramatic sense, but quietly, effortlessly. You wouldn't feel a sudden pull. You wouldn't feel yourself being dragged downward. Instead, you would simply begin to follow your path, a path you were always on, a path that was only ever interrupted. This is the quiet elegance of the universe. Nothing is forcing you to fall. Falling is what you already do. And the earth, the ground, the chair, they are constantly intervening, gently but firmly, preventing you from continuing. And in doing so, they create the illusion of stability. But now the mind begins to wander further. If gravity is not a force pulling us, but the shape of space guiding us, then what shapes that shape? Why does space curve the way it does? Why does the Earth bend space around it? And why do massive objects, stars, planets, galaxies, seem to sculpt the universe itself? To approach this, we have to step beyond everyday experience. Because here, intuition becomes less reliable. We must rely on imagination, not wild imagination, but disciplined imagination, the kind that follows logic, yet dares to question assumptions. Picture space not as empty, but as something responsive, something that reacts to presence. Mass doesn't just sit in space. It changes it, like a heavy object placed on a flexible surface. Mass tells space how to curve, and that curvature tells everything else how to move. It's a conversation, a silent dialogue between matter and geometry, and you, standing here, are part of that conversation. Your body, though small compared to planets, still contributes ever so slightly to the curvature of space. You are not separate from the structure of the universe. You are woven into it. But here's where the mystery deepens. Because if space tells matter how to move, and matter tells space how to curve, then which one is more fundamental? Is space shaping reality, or is matter? Or are they inseparable, two sides of the same underlying truth? And then quietly another realization emerges. Time, because we've been speaking of space as if it exists alone. But it does not. Space and time are intertwined, woven together into a single fabric, and just as space can curve, so can time. This means that gravity is not just about motion through space, it is also about motion through time. And this is where things become almost poetic, because different paths through space can also be different paths through time. Some paths experience time more slowly, others more quickly, and the presence of mass, of curvature, affects this. So when you stand on the earth, not only is your motion through space being altered, your motion through time is too, ever so slightly, almost imperceptibly, but real. And now the simple act of standing becomes something extraordinary. You are not just being held up, you are following a path through a curved space-time landscape, constantly redirected by the surface beneath you. You are part of a cosmic geometry, and the feeling of weight, the simple pressure of your feet against the ground, is a clue, a hint, a whisper of something deeper. But then, we must ask one final question. If the ground is pushing you up, what is it really made of? What is actually doing the pushing? Because when you look closer, much closer, you find that solid objects are not truly solid. Atoms are mostly empty space. Their structure is defined not by hard surfaces, but by fields, regions of influence. So when your foot presses against the ground, it never truly touches it. Instead, the electrons in your atoms repel the electrons in the ground. A force emerges, not from contact but from interaction. And that force is what pushes you up. So even the push is not what it seems. There is no solid barrier, no rigid support, only interactions, fields, responses, and suddenly the everyday world dissolves into something far more subtle. You are not standing on a solid surface. You are being held in place by invisible interactions within a structured universe, guided by curvature, resisted by fields, balanced between motion and constraint. And all of this is happening effortlessly, silently, continuously, without you ever noticing, until now. And perhaps the most remarkable part of all this is not the physics, not the equations, not the theories, but the realization that something so profound was hidden inside something so ordinary, standing, sitting, being. And it leaves us with a final thought. If something as simple as standing still can reveal such depth, such elegance, such hidden structure, then what else in your everyday life is quietly waiting to be understood? What other truths are hidden, not in distant galaxies, but in the most familiar moments of your existence? And if the ground beneath you is not just supporting you, but shaping your experience of reality itself, then what does it truly mean to be here, right now? Not falling, but not truly still either, just suspended, in a universe far stranger and far more beautiful than it first appears. And if you stay with that feeling just a little longer, something subtle begins to shift. Because once you truly accept that you are not being pulled down, but rather prevented from falling, you begin to see motion itself differently. You begin to notice that what you once called forces might in some cases be something else entirely, not pushes, not pulls, but permissions. Permissions granted or denied by the structure of reality. Think about that for a moment. What if the universe is not constantly acting on you, but instead quietly allowing certain paths, while forbidding others? What if motion is less about being forced, and more about being guided? Because when you step forward, when you move your hand, when you simply turn your head, there is no invisible rope dragging you into that motion. There is only the unfolding of possibility. And in the case of gravity, the most natural possibility is to fall. Everything else is interruption. Now let your imagination stretch just a little further. Picture yourself far away from Earth. No ground beneath you, no chair, no floor, no resistance, just vast open space. In that environment, something extraordinary happens. Not because something is added, but because something is removed. The push disappears, and with it, the sensation of weight. But notice what does not disappear. Your motion, your path, your existence within the fabric of space-time. You are still moving, effortlessly, silently, along the curves shaped by distant masses. And in that state, something almost paradoxical becomes true. The absence of force feels like freedom, while the presence of force feels like constraint, which is the opposite of how we usually think. We tend to believe that forces cause motion, but here, motion exists without force, and force appears when motion is resisted. This inversion is not just surprising, it is deeply revealing, because it suggests that the universe at its core is not driven by force in the way we imagine. It is shaped by geometry and experienced through resistance. Now ask yourself something quietly. If you had never felt the ground beneath your feet, if you had lived your entire existence floating freely, would you ever invent the idea of gravity pulling you down? Or would you simply accept motion as natural and resistance as the anomaly? This question doesn't have a simple answer, but it reveals something important. Much of what we believe about reality is shaped not by what is fundamentally true, but by what we happen to experience. And your experience right now is one of constant support, constant interruption, constant prevention of fall, which makes the world feel stable, grounded, certain. But beneath that certainty lies motion, unstoppable, continuous motion. Now here's where things begin to grow even more subtle, because so far we've spoken as if the ground is pushing you upward, in a straightforward way, like a hand pressing against your back. But in truth, even that idea is a simplification, because what you feel as a push is not a single force. It is the collective effect of countless microscopic interactions, tiny, invisible exchanges between particles, fields responding to fields, charges responding to charges. There is no single point where the push originates, no clear boundary where support begins. It is distributed, layered, emergent, and this leads to a quiet but profound realization. The stability you feel is not fundamental, it is constructed, built from interactions so small, so numerous, and so rapid that they blend into something continuous, something you experience as solidity. But beneath that solidity there is only structure, pattern, relationship. And this raises another question, one that feels almost philosophical. If what we perceive as solid is actually the result of interactions, and what we perceive as force is often resistance to motion, then what is truly real? Is it the sensations we experience, or the underlying processes that give rise to them? And can those two ever fully align? Because in the case of gravity, they clearly do not. What you feel, weight, is not the direct presence of gravity. It is the absence of free fall. It is what happens when gravity is interrupted, and that inversion is easy to miss, because it hides inside something so familiar. Now imagine extending this idea beyond gravity. What if other experiences, other sensations, also arise not from direct causes, but from interruptions, from constraints, from boundaries imposed on what would otherwise happen naturally? Take sound, for instance. You hear because vibrations reach your ears, but those vibrations exist within limits, within mediums, within conditions. Or light. You see because certain wavelengths interact with your eyes, while others pass unnoticed. In each case, your experience is shaped not just by what is present, but by what is filtered, redirected, or constrained, and slowly a pattern begins to emerge. Reality, as you experience it, is not a direct window into the universe. It is a translation, a constructed interpretation of deeper processes. And gravity, this simple idea of things falling down, turns out to be one of the clearest examples of that translation, because what you thought was a pull is actually a path, what you thought was stillness is actually prevention, and what you thought was solid support is actually interaction. Now pause for a moment. Feel your body again, your weight, the pressure beneath you. It hasn't changed, and yet your understanding of it has. The same sensation now carries a different meaning. It is no longer just standing, it is participation. Participation in a vast interconnected system where geometry shapes motion and interactions create experience. And this perspective does something interesting to the mind. It softens certainty. It invites curiosity. Because if something as basic as standing can be reinterpreted, then nothing is too ordinary to question. Nothing is too familiar to contain hidden depth. And perhaps this is the real gift of such ideas. Not just the knowledge itself, but the shift in how we look. Because once you begin to see the world this way, you start to notice things you once ignored. The way objects settle, the way motion unfolds, the way balance is maintained, not as a static state but as a dynamic equilibrium. And even more subtly, you begin to sense that reality is not made of things, but of relationships, between motion and resistance, between space and matter, between what is allowed and what is prevented. And in that web of relationships, you exist, not as a separate observer, but as an active participant. Now let's take one final step, one that brings us back full circle to the question we started with. Why aren't you falling? At first the answer seemed obvious, because gravity holds you down. But now, that answer feels incomplete, because gravity does not hold you, it guides you. It defines the path you would take if nothing stopped you. And the reason you are not falling is because something is stopping you, constantly, effortlessly, silently. The ground beneath you, the structure of matter, the interactions of fields, all working together to interrupt your natural motion. And in doing so, they give you the illusion of rest. But it is only an illusion, a useful one, a necessary one, but an illusion nonetheless, because beneath it, you are always in motion, always following a path, always part of a universe that is far more dynamic than it appears. And perhaps the most beautiful part of all this is that none of it requires you to go anywhere special. You don't need a telescope, you don't need a laboratory, you don't need to travel to distant galaxies. The evidence is already with you, in the pressure beneath your feet, in the weight you feel in your body, in the quiet fact that you are not falling. And maybe, just maybe, the next time you stand still, you won't feel quite so still. You might sense the hidden motion beneath the surface, the silent conversation between you and the earth, the gentle but constant push that holds you in place. And you might ask yourself, if this is what's happening in something as simple as standing, then what deeper truths are hidden in the rest of reality? What else have we mistaken for simplicity, when it is actually complexity in disguise? And if the ground is not just supporting you, but shaping your very experience of existence, then what, truly, is holding up the ground itself? And what is it that prevents everything from you, to the earth, to the stars, from simply continuing along their paths? uninterrupted forever? Or perhaps the better question is, what would the universe feel like if nothing ever stopped anything at all?